Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Pineapple Podcast, where it's all about being tough on the outside, sweet on the inside, and wearing your crown of gratitude proudly. Today, we have two amazing ladies, Ashifa and Aurora. So these ladies came into the real estate space, and today they've partnered up and they are doing land development, but a very unique concept where it's all about giving back to the environment. And so they spend the extra dollars, so to speak, in the construction because they want to leave a legacy for their children and their children's children, making the planet better and giving great quality homes. Ladies, welcome to the Pineapple Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Wonderful. Well, I want to jump into your stories because, again, as you could appreciate, what we like here to do with the Pineapple is to really unpack people's journey. How did they really get started into real estate? And then how did you find your niche? And then how do you accelerate, right? Because as you could appreciate, a lot of our viewers are trying to figure that out for themselves. So I'd love to know, you guys came together, and I love that about it because now you're not only doing land development, but you're doing joint venturing at the same time, which is two brilliant strategies in real estate. So let's get to learn about Ashifa and let's learn about Aurora. Give us your individual stories in real estate. How did you get into it just before you guys started to work together?
Ashifa, go ahead.
So I started my journey in real estate in 2021, and I was actually nudged by my ex-boss and a good friend of mine of 30 years. And the two of them don't know each other. So I thought, okay, the universe must be telling me something. So took the Keyspire workshop with Paul Hetch, and he can be very convincing, but at the same time, he excited my soul. And so I decided to go all in with real estate and really get the education. And then along the way, Aurora was also in Keyspire, and we were also part of other groups and met through other groups and got to know each other with conversation. And I asked Aurora if she would be interested in joint venturing with me. And she said yes. And so, it's like I proposed to her and she said yes.
I love it.
Yeah. But, it was our values aligned. And we felt that connection, and both of us have strong intuition. So we went on that, and we joined forces.
Absolutely love that. So I love the fact that you really said, look, you wanted to do something better. What's even more unique for you is your boss is telling you, get into real estate versus, you shouldn't leave this company or do anything to improve yourself. We got you covered here. So I love that. So I love that journey of education and then finding people that you can work with. And Aurora, would love to hear your story.
Yeah, I know. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to share. So mine is my husband and I, actually, we were accidental landlords. This was back in 2015, actually, 2015, around there. We had bought a townhouse in Edmonton in 2007, which was the most expensive time to buy it. And then we subsequently built our dream home as our family was getting bigger, and we found ourselves with two mortgages, didn't really know what to do. So we Googled everything, like our application form, how to rent two tenants, like had no idea. Thankfully though, we were able to find good tenants, nothing exploded. We felt pretty good. Afterwards, but one thing that my husband and I did agree on was that we really needed to get educated, because it was just we were worried and nervous every step of the way, and just through doing some searching, I did find a network called Real Estate Investment Network, and it's very similar to other real estate investment platforms where they do provide you with education about fundamentals. And so that's kind of how we got started with real estate investing. And my husband and I, we both at the time were still working full time. So my background is I'm actually a registered nurse, and then my husband is an engineer, but he's moved more into the business side. It wasn't our intention at all to, get into real estate, retire right away, and do just real estate forever and ever. It was a slower path for us, to be honest with you. We were just thinking of adding, we would save up some money, buy another rental property, save up some money, buy another rental property. We just thought we were, really clever in diversifying our portfolio and adding real estate in there. For me, 2020 was a pivotal moment. So 2020, everybody knows, was when pandemic struck, and being in healthcare. And my area in healthcare is seniors health. And so if you think back 3 years ago, we were really one of the hardest hit areas.
Absolutely.
When, throughout the course of the pandemic, especially at the beginning, when people didn't really understand it, didn't really know what was happening. So it was challenging, to say the least. And that brought me to a fork in the road to kind of figure out what I really wanted to do. And in those moments, I think, I'm really grateful for it, thinking back now, going, okay, I had to make a decision, and I doubled down on real estate. So I told my husband at the time, this was 2020, no one knew what was happening. I told my husband, like, not to freak out, but I'm taking all our money and I'm going to buy houses. And he thought I pretty much lost my mind. But in hindsight, looking back, I'm like, I wish I had bought more properties at the time. And then I discovered, with growth, joining other groups, as Ashifa had mentioned, Keyspire and other associated networks, that really elevated both my learning and exposure to different real estate strategies. But more importantly, I think the mindset that, no, there's so much, like, you barely scratched the surface. And so fast forward to 2022, 2023, here we are doing deals like land development, which was something I would have never, ever, ever in my entire life, thought would be even possible.
So I absolutely love your story. I mean, it's really incredible. But first of all, thank you for what you did during that COVID time. The medical profession was on the front line, dealing with uncertainties that was so real. Like, millions of people around the world died, right? So this was not by any means something easy to deal with. Good for you for holding strong, and good for you for what you've done. And more importantly, good for you for recognizing that you need to do more than just what you're doing in order to build a future, and challenging your husband that, trust me, it's only your life savings, okay? But trust me.
Yeah, he was pretty terrified. So was I, but I think we knew, we had to make a decision. It wasn't risky, I don't think. I think it was, we definitely looked at all the factors, knowing the trends, that real estate is cyclical, and it's during these times where, a lot of people could build wealth by taking advantage of the opportunities. It was tough, but yeah, I'm glad that in hindsight we made that decision. And thank you, Mitch, for recognizing the work that the healthcare workers have done and are doing still this time.
100%, and I love what you shared too, because this is important to me as well, because as you know, I've transitioned out of my director's role. I'm into the space full-time in real estate investing and training and education. And the mindset, to me, is the most powerful piece for anybody taking on anything new. And real estate can be daunting, especially if you're doing it on your own. Like you said, in the beginning, it was just you and your husband taking chances and figuring it out, In the early days, over 20 years ago, my wife and I, when we said we'll do this journey, I think it's fortunate. I say unfortunately, but fortunately, we got the worst tenants you can ever ask for. That was our first experience. Tenant board, junk all over the house, police showing up ever so often. Like, it was a mess. And we survived it. And I think that really lit a fire under us for really continuing. Believe it or not, we enjoyed every piece of it. Was it frustrating? And sometimes we second guess ourselves in the beginning. Is this the right thing? Well, yes, absolutely it is. Because you know what? Looking back 20 years, if we had not taken that challenge, depending on a 9 to 5 income gets you comfortable, but it doesn't give you the lifestyle and the freedom that you need. And that's the change. That's what we're chasing now. And then you guys pointed out as well, it's about community, getting in touch with other people, putting that few dollars out there, because you know what? It's going to pay you back in dividends. Like you're going to see that for every 20,000 that I'm spending and I'm making 100,000, like why wouldn't you? But you got to believe, right? So the mindset is brilliant. I love that with you guys. And I love how you accidentally met. It's basically Ashifa's proposing to you. I mean, I love that. But I think more importantly is what you guys decided to do. Like this was not just buy properties or continue the expansion. You actually had a mission to give back to the planet and to give back to people by obviously, you know, they'll get to invest in your projects. But I think the unique thing was the way you guys aligned on what you wanted to do, because everybody's managing costs and managing budget. And we always want that down, 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 so we can get profitability. You guys, you know, and I want you to share with our viewers so they understand, well, how did you find the land? Why did you decide on this strategy? But I just love the fact that you were not willing, you were willing to spend that few dollars just to make sure that you could deliver on some of your top priorities, which is giving back, building safer, and building for the environment. So walk us through the journey. So you guys, you had the proposal, and now it's like, what do we do? How did you end up in this space?
Well, after that, the first proposal was for a single family home because that was when I first got started.
Right.
And Aurora actually had this property already and she was planning to do it on her own. And then when I asked her if she would be interested in, forming a joint venture, she presented the property to me and, said if it asked me if this was something I would be interested in. When I looked at the numbers and everything, and I'm going, oh my God, why don't you just want to do this on your own? It's so good. She basically said, well, you're looking for your first property and I'm okay with sharing, and this can be your first property. So for that, I'll always be grateful. And so we do have a single family home, which is on a lot for future development.
Beautiful.
And then, moving along a couple of months, like that journey of ours was going really well. And we both, talked about our interest in land development. And I actually started taking a course in land development. And then on one of our calls, Aurora said, why don't we focus on land development and join forces? And that call was on a Monday. On a Wednesday, Aurora found a property, and on a Friday, we owned it. So, and that's the property that our current project that we decided that we want to demolish
I'm
right
gonna
away.
pause. I'm gonna pause you here because I love this. It's like you decided on a Tuesday, and by the end of the week, you had a property under contract.
That's one of Aurora's strengths is acquisitions.
Love it, love it, love it. The fact is you're taking massive action. And this is what a lot of people get nervous about, right? It's like, how do I do this? Do I actually sign on the dotted line? So I love it. It's like, yep, let's make a decision. Decision is made. Let's go take action. Now we get to work. I love that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I point that out for our viewers as well. Like it's okay.
Yeah, and it's important to note that you need to surround yourself with people who have the knowledge and experience as well. At that time, Mitch, you were my coach. So as Oprah said, surround yourself by people who lift you higher. Absolutely. And that's what gives you that courage, right? That's what removes the fear.
I love that. Absolutely. So, and it was my pleasure to work with you guys because I've seen you grown so much, but it was also my pleasure to help you get to that success because I believe that is what community is about. It's about helping each other grow and get better at what they're doing, So Aurora, tell us a little bit about the acquisition. So how did you actually find this property? Do you have a team of people or you do the searching yourself? Like, what does that look like?
You can ask my husband, Mitch. I love to shop. So, but I only shop for houses. Like my price point is anywhere between $10 to $300,000. It's like, it can't be in between.
Love it.
but so the property is actually located in the same community that I already had a property that is set for development. So I had already been scouting, because I'm local to Edmonton. I'm in Edmonton, I should have mentioned that. And the projects are in Edmonton. So I know the area very well, and I've seen them, gentrify and get revitalized over the years. And I had been watching particular areas and particular communities that I know had the rezoning done or will be getting a rezoning fairly, simply, easily. So that's how I was able to find the lot. So I have a team of realtors. I also have a network of wholesalers. I've done my own door-to-door knocking. I don't mind doing that. I've done my own seller financing negotiation, those types of things. As Ashifa
Yes.
said, I really do love the acquisition, the front end part of the real estate kind of end-to-end process. So to answer your question, this was actually just through a realtor, and I already knew the numbers just because I had another property that was similar and we were going down the same path. I knew the area, I knew the community, knew the zoning. So it was very simple enough to kind of transpose all that to this other property and then pull the trigger.
Beautiful. Absolutely love it. I mean, that's your specialty. I love the way you frame it. You love shopping. And you're right. Hey, why if you're spending $10 or 300,000 you're spending, right? So might as well have fun. So I love what you guys are doing for sure. And now let's get into the journey of the actual development. Like you decide you got the land. Now you have to decide what you're putting on that land. So walk us through what was that in your journey? Like how did you decide on it? And then I'd really like to get into, you've decided on the type of property, but now the construction piece where you're making sure that it's a sort of a greener home, that sort of thing. I really want to get that piece of it as well. So, and I'm throwing out a lot at you guys here right now, but walk us through the decision making for what property should be put on the land.
Okay, I'll start, and then Ashifa, jump in anytime. So the community actually has a lot of small scale infill activity already. So we wanted to buy a property or buy a piece of land where we could actually and optimize it. So the highest and best use. And we actually connected with the city prior just to confirm how many units we could put in that particular lot. And so that's how it came to be. And with the way that the numbers work, the lot size, the zoning, the community, adding 8 units to the lot was the best, I guess, the best balance of it all in terms of how much we could get for our profits, our NOI, as well as all the other things that you had mentioned that we wanted to incorporate as well. So that's how we came to that decision. As far as moving forward with selecting a builder, we did go through interviews with a few builders that had experience working either building net zero buildings and or close to net zero. So our property is actually in Prince Charles in Edmonton. Next to that, the community is called Blatchford. And although Blatchford is a slow development, the intent and the purpose of Blatchford was that it was actually going to be one of Edmonton's kind of pride and glory, and it was going to be one of the largest net zero communities in Canada and North America. And so we wanted to really mirror a lot of what was happening in that community to our build. So that's why I'm giving back to the planet, making decisions that would be healthy for the planet now and in the future was also really integral in our decision making. So I'll pause there and I'll let Ashifa kind of add on because I know this is really something that she's very passionate about.
Love it. Please.
Well, yeah, speaking of the passion, I mean, both Aurora and I are advocates for the environment, within our lives. And that's something that was the first conversation we had is, about bringing making this build energy efficient and giving back to Mother Earth. So as far as, that decision, we both aligned on that. And then as far as our builder, he was very enthusiastic about it. And we were also willing to, spend that extra money in order to make this happen. Because we also want to be trailblazers as well. We want to show other real estate developers that it can be done.
I love
And, and then it also helped that CMHC supports, the energy efficiency component and affordability component for real estate. And with our build, we do embody the triple bottom line with, the planet, people, and the profits. So we're quite happy with that. And it pays back in other forms, right?
I wanna sort of ask you a question here, because I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, well, what is net zero, So if you could explain that to people so they understand the connection between the earth, the give back, and the terminology of what is a net zero property.
Aurora?
So it's just in terms of energy consumption and production. So basically, it's a house, a building, a property where the energy that you consume is equal to the energy that it produces. So it could be in the form of solar energy. Geothermal energy is how you produce, I guess, energy, and then you consume it through your, use of electricity, etc. And at the end of the day, or at the end of the period where you calculate your energy use and consumption, is just net equals to zero. So we're not quite there yet, but it is something that we are striving towards. And so a lot of the many of the decisions that we've had to make that did equate to more dollars definitely were to reduce energy consumption. And we're also preparing the building so that we could later on also add solar panels down the road, those kinds of things to really move it forward as much as possible to that less energy consumption, less carbon, greenhouse gas emission as well.
Beautiful. Thank you for that, because I really wanted people to understand, well, we're throwing out always, every industry, we throw tons of, terminologies, acronyms, and what have you, and sometimes you need to step back. So net zero actually is a great footprint because, again, energy production and consumption. So you're not pulling off the grid or anything like that. In a way, it's a lot of giving back as well through the utility system. So I absolutely love this. So now that you found your builder, and I want to point this out as well to people, you ladies took the time to interview builders to make sure you're going to find the right partnerships. I love that, because a lot of people, they get scared away from that. Sometimes they're not sure how to do that. And I wanted to just reinforce that. The other thing that came out of our conversation that I want to reinforce again for our viewerships is, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call the town or call the city and ask them in the building department, ask them, what is the zoning? What changes are you implementing? What would you like to see developed on the piece of land? That is game changing, because always you have your due diligence period. This is one of the most important things you can do. You can't be second guessing yourself here. You need to know, so you're making an informed decision. So I love the way you guys approach it. I love the way you sort of systemized it. And the net zero, to me, is really a big contributor, because like I say, this is, typically something that a lot of people shy away from just based on cost. But now you've also clearly identified that you're actually getting government support to help with that. So the CMHC, obviously that's a segment by itself, for sure, but it does provide tremendous opportunities for developers like yourself that wants to get into the space. And what I like is that the number of units you're doing is not crazy big to really stress you out. It's really a nice platform where the economics would make sense, but the experience coming off it is going to be incredible, at least in my opinion. And maybe you guys could share that as well. Like, how do you feel about this project? Does it excite you every day? I'm sure you probably hit a lot of blocks you didn't think about, but you overcame them, right? So I'd love to capture that in our conversation as well.
It's important to say that as far as the challenges, yes, we definitely, I don't know if I'd call them challenges, but I'd call them yeah, maybe they are challenges, but one thing that we both agreed on is that something comes at us, we discuss it, we pivot. We don't let it drain us down, because that's really important. Otherwise, then stress levels would just go to the extreme and proper decisions wouldn't be made. So yeah, we were hit with some blocks, but we just then decided what way to pivot, and that's important, right? Just to clarify something that you talked about, Mitch, is that, as Aurora mentioned, we're not quite at net zero, but we are not far from it, but we are making progress in that area, for future builds as we get more experience with that. So just to clarify that for your audience.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, what I'm
Yeah.
talking about is that's the direction that you're leading.
That's the direction, exactly. As
so
far as the
listen.
project goes, we are really excited about it. Our design is beautiful. We are excited to get it finished and have an open house and invite other investors to check it out. So we are extremely excited about, getting them tenanted with the right people who will appreciate what features we've put in, and just creating that community feel within that complex. So we're very excited.
Love that. That's absolutely great to hear as well. And I love the strategies, basically buy, build, and hold, right? That's how you build long-term wealth. So I love that for sure. So I guess the question going forward now is, okay, so what's in store for Ashifa and Aurora? Are you guys looking to expand this out and probably do a bit larger complex after you've done this one? What's in the future?
I think, I don't know, I feel like there's just so many opportunities in the land development space that we've just scratched the surface, and we kind of fell into it because, like you said, Mitch, is a really good starter with acquiring a residential property, having it rezoned, or buying it already properly zoned, and then building something with the highest and best use. But there's just, as we get more education in the land development space, I think there's a few things that we want to do over the next year or so, including some of those micro strategies such as perhaps some land assemblies, some severance, whether that be in Alberta or in Ontario. So that's the cool thing about Ashifa and I too, is because we've got different. She's in Ontario. I'm in Edmonton, Alberta. We actually can be experts, both local experts where we are, and really scope out the opportunities in both those areas. So I think we will be doing that, and we also will not be closing doors on future builds similar to this if the opportunity is there. But I think we are just going to continue to grow in our land development. We're going to continue to flex our land development muscles. So that's what we're doing in the next year.
That's a good way of putting it.
Absolutely, man. You guys are going to flex the muscle. I love it. So that's great. So therefore, I know you guys do a lot of community work in terms of talking to other investors, helping them along. People I know can invest with you guys as well, if they so choose. So I'm sure you're happy to get connected with people. So if anybody wanted to get connected with you, what would be the best way to do that?
Well, they can find each of us, both myself and Aurora, on Facebook. And they can also email us at our email address at info@altoterra.ca.
Beautiful. And I'll make sure that we put that information in the comments down below so that they have access to that all the time. So again, I want to congratulate you ladies on doing an amazing job. And, Ashifa, like I say, you and I started working together. I've just been amazed to see your development. You're one of those I should say, students that just kind of embraced all of the training, the teaching, and you just implement it. It was like, tell me what to do, I go do it, and then look at the results today. So really admirable, that fact that you and Aurora have partnered up together. I love the fact that you're in different places in the country, because again, it gives you more strength, right? And Aurora, you pointed that out quite nicely in the sense that you have two major markets that you have feet on the street. You can do either market, right? That's what partnerships are about. So love the journey. I can't wait to see what 2 years or 3 years from today looks like, you know. So once again, I don't know if there's any last minute comment or advice you want to give our viewers if they want to go down the path of land development or land assembly. Ashifa, if you want to go first, and then Aurora.
Well, I would tell your viewers that if it excites your soul, then just go for it. Everything takes care of itself.
Beautiful.
I think it's really the community. Honestly, I don't think I could be in this position without surrounding myself with the community and the network that I have. So despite perhaps starting out slow or starting out at a smaller scale, I think talk to people, tell them what you're doing, and continue to learn from them and also give back. I think that's how many of us get connected anyway. So I think two things. It's your network, definitely continue to meet other like-minded people. And secondly, when you are networking and meeting people, I think really focusing on how you can add value and bring value first is really how then you align with the people that you're meant to be in that orbit or in that space. So
Community is definitely important. Agree. Yeah.
100%. I love the advice. Thank you, ladies, so very much. It's amazing to see what you've created with Alto Terra and development. And like we say, we're going to look forward to seeing the completion of your projects. And to our viewers, again, once again, remember, hit the like and subscribe and notification button as we grow our subscription base. And remember, the pineapple, it's all about being tough on the outside, sweet on the inside, and wearing your crown of gratitude proudly. Bye, everybody.